Hey, this is Brooks with Character Design Forge. I hope you like that new intro that I put together for the channel. It's just time. It's been 2 years, and I've been using that same old intro for a long time, so it's time to update things. Way back in my video called 5 Ways to Make a Character More Likable, I made a rather bold statement. I said that all characters are innately human. And the initial reaction to that were a lot of people saying, well, nuh-uh, I have a character that's a unicorn or a wolf or a blender, and Brooks, how could you forget about all the movies about toys? So I wanted to expand on and clarify this idea a bit more because it's definitely one that I still stand by, and it's one that I think you should as well. First, I want to look into kind of the semantics of how aliens and animals and the brave little toaster all fit into this idea. And also, more importantly, I want to talk about why the fact all characters are innately human is actually super important. All of this hangs on a 6-syllable word, and that word is personification. When we adopt a pet, the first thing we usually do is give them a name. We start forming connections with them and bonding with them in a lot of the same ways that we bond with other people. Now, the difference here, though, is that as much as pets seem like they're little people sometimes, they're still animals. What we're doing is projecting onto them a lot of qualities and personality traits that we are familiar with as humans. Now, this is personification. We're trying to form a more meaningful connection with the animal through the means of personification. We're adding human qualities to something that otherwise doesn't have them. If I pick up a rock, it's just a rock. But if I draw a smiley face on it, it now has human qualities that it didn't have before. Eyes, a mouth, and a capacity for happiness. And that's a rock fact. Animal characters like the ones in Zootopia share the appearance and of course a lot of the traits and qualities of the real-life animals that they are based on, but at the same time they still walk, talk, and think like humans. Now, Zootopia is a lot like fables, which have been told for many years using animal characters. It's telling a story about bias and using animals as a powerful placeholder for humans, and I think in a way that's more effective than just using human characters. Other animal characters, like the horse-shaped dogs in other Disney movies, are still displaying a level of human intelligence in the way that they act and emote. Just because they can't talk doesn't mean they are just strictly animals without any personified qualities. Now, an animal that is truly just an animal in the strictest sense with no personified qualities imbued on them, I would argue is no longer actually a character in a story, but a piece of the environment. So a giant monstrous creature that poses a threat to our heroes might just be a part of the environment. A dog that is really just a dog that doesn't go for help when Timmy falls in the well is kind of like a moving prop. But the thing is that this is very rare, I think, in fiction, for the creator of this work to not imbue some amount of personification onto an animal in a story, a sidekick or a companion, and I'd kind of be interested to see sort of the exceptions to this. And speaking of the creator kind of leads into this next point, which is that every piece of fiction is sandwiched between these two human elements. The human or a group of humans that created it, and then the audience later on that reacts and digests it themselves. And so this is something that we really can't avoid. We can't really help it. When a human person is writing the story of Wall-E the robot, and they say, what is Wall-E the robot going to do next? They're just going to think through their own set of thoughts and actions. And then later on, when we see Chewbacca on screen chortling at something that Han has done, we perceive it as a very human reaction coming out of an alien character. So hopefully all of this makes some sense and we aren't getting lost in the weeds, because among all of these semantics, I think, is a really meaningful core. And so if you're making stories of your own, hopefully this should help, and also to kind of reinforce the idea that stories, the reason for them, is to share a human experience. And so in the context of when I originally said that all characters are innately human, it was in this video about making characters more likable. And really that's the point. You want characters that are relatable. You want your audience to relate to your characters as a sort of baseline foundation for making them care about and feel moved by or feel something for the overall story as a whole. So think about the following things as a sort of filter for when you're making characters, when you're refining characters, or just thinking about how to make them better overall. I'm hesitant to number these because it's not like an end-all be-all list. There's probably something I'm missing out on. But think about the following things. So when your audience meets your character, might they think one of the following things? 1. Hey, that character reminds me of me. 2, that character reminds me of someone that I know. 3, that character reminds me of who I would like to be. Or 4, that character reminds me of someone I don't want to be. 5, that character seems like someone I want to meet. And then 6, that character seems like someone I don't want to meet. And you can do all sorts of things from there to subvert their first impression or change the character over some kind of arc, but the idea is to make them people. And so when you're creating characters and you're staunchly saying, I don't want them to be human, you either actually are or you aren't making something that's relatable. I hope that this was helpful or at least got you thinking along these lines. If you're confused or you have any questions, feel free to let me know and I'll try and get to them. I do know that it will be some people's tendency to kind of jump to the exception, trying to find the exceptions to the rule. And I do ask, in this case, just try and see the overall forest for the trees with this idea. That's it for me today. I'm making new videos every week at Character Design Forge. Subscribing on YouTube lets you know when new videos are made available. You can also follow me on Instagram at BagelDenizen. That's a great way to see art that I make as I share it. My course, Learn Character Design, is a comprehensive character design curriculum. Head over to learncharacterdesign.com to learn more about that. It's over 10 hours of video learning. And also, if you want to support me, support this channel, you can go to patreon.com/BagelDenizen. There you get lesson booster packs, which are like these tangible, downloadable extras of some videos that I've made on this channel before. You get early access to our show Character Select a week early, and high-res downloadable versions of my art files. Thank you for watching, and have fun creating.